Welcome back to your outlet for outdoors and Western lifestyle, The Bend Show. I'm your host, Rebecca Warner, a.k.a. Beck, riding along shotgun, my co-host, Jeff Tigger Earhart. Now, yes, I just got back from another adventure. It was fun. It was cold. We had all kinds of elements weather-wise to deal with, but it was a great time regardless. What happened? I went on an elk trip with my brother and his son, and I just went along for the ride on this one. We'll put it that way. Yeah, how else would you put it, Tigger?
You were a glorified Sherpa.
Yes, there's no kidding behind that because I tended to have everything that they forgot.
So the big question is, did you come back with any elk?
And sadly, no, we did not.
But you didn't have your elk tag. You just went along for kind of family fun.
Those priceless moments.
Yep, but you did get your wolf tag, though.
I did get a wolf tag, but I did not fill the wolf tag either.
You didn't fill the wolf tag. You didn't get a shot off. Now, did your brother or nephew, did they come back with an elk?
No, they did not fill their tags. Did they have the opportunity to each throw some lead out there? Yes. However, as you can understand, my nephew, for example, he's also my godchild. He took a shot at 980 yards. Was it calculated? Yes. Just so you know, we were shooting rifles that were designed to make a 1,000-yard shot. Just so you understand, that's why he did take the opportunity. However, it did not work out. My brother, he also had a shot at a bull. However, it was in a very thick, forested, wooded area, and it was a stand-up kind of shot. And the minute he took the shot, he looked at me and he said, "I flinched." And
the weather really changed for you out there because you sent me pictures and you went from just kind of a fall day in the mountains of Montana to you woke up the next morning to 10 inches of snow. And
yes.
Completely changed the dynamic. Unfortunately, it was the last day of your hunt. If you could have stayed a few more days, maybe you would have got lucky.
Absolutely, because of the migration, that snow kind of forces those elk that are at higher elevations to start coming down. If you're wondering what kind of elevation we were hunting at between 7,500 and 8,000 in elevation. And we did get to see something that was new for me. Have come across many elk over the years. However, I'd never seen a true herd, and we're talking like a herd of 200 plus that were starting their migrate.
Wow.
And we were hunting public land, for those of you that understand how that can be difficult. And this herd was on private land, so we weren't, of course, able to take any shots at that. But it was one of those moments where you sit there and you go, wow, how many people get to actually watch a herd of over 200 plus elk first, all being together, making that migration, but then sitting there and hearing the bugling. That was probably a highlight for me, was just to hear those bulls. And it kind of gave you chills because it felt like a National Geographic moment, kind of, if that makes sense.
So was it Onyx that you were using as an app to help you with identifying the private land?
Yes, we were using Onyx.
Is that what you were using for technology?
Correct. So for those of you that are not familiar with Onyx, there are a lot of apps that are out there now that do this, but we chose to use Onyx. I've used it for many years since the get-go, and yes, it was to show where the property boundaries were to also show where some of these trails are through the public land, as well as to set waypoints. For example, we were using our own ranch horses, and at times you ride in as far as you want, but then tie them up and then put a pin in and then track our trail so that we could make sure we found the horses, because sometimes in that kind of elevation with very, very heavily forested, you can become, however you want to say, disoriented easily. And I always do that just to make sure we get back to where we need to with the horses, as well as we went in. We're talking like 5-6 miles away from base camp, where sometimes you want to make sure, and if we didn't follow the exact trail, that we made it back to where we needed to find the switchbacks to get back to camp. Because in that kind of an environment, let me reflect a little bit on how it works with us. When we leave camp, we're leaving at camp well before sun up. So we're saddling our horses, we're riding out, we're wearing headlamps, of course, our orange vests for hunting, but with headlamps, and we're going through all the switchbacks and the terrain to get to where we want to set up in the dark. And that's, like I said, many, many miles in the dark. And then coming home at night, same thing. We're coming back in the dark. And then the switchbacks with our horses, we've learned over the years, just a tip for those of you thinking about doing this with your horses and wondering how good a physical shape you yourself are in. We lead our horses back down the switchbacks. We ride our horses up, but we lead them down the switchbacks because it's a lot easier on our horses.
Is that just because of the elevation that you're at, that kind of hard to breathe, or the simple fact that this is tough for horses to go up to that of 5 miles and trek in?
Well, the reason why we lead them on the way back is because of the muscles that they're having to use going downward. It's very stressful on their body, on their joints.
Joints, okay, gotcha.
And then also in case of if they'd slip, they'd fall, thinking about that, you'd rather not go down with your horse. We'll put it that way. A horse is more likely to trip and stumble in the dark going down than they are going up.
And you saw other hunting parties, but they were afoot. And you had even, I think you texted me this, or when you called me and you said, I can't believe that some of these guys are going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth multiple times.
Packing in
and
afoot. Packing out. Yeah, packing out their elk on back. Some of them would have some very, very good friends. We're going to put it that way. You know, there was one group of
Bunch
guys.
of Sherpas.
I had to laugh. There's one group of guys. The individual, he was able to get 4 other buddies. So 5 of them went in to pack out the elk he had taken down, and this was all done on foot, and I had to laugh. I had already made it back to camp on horseback, and in the dark, all of a sudden I heard his buddies yell, "We made it!"
So were they camped where you were camped?
Well, they actually decided not to camp. They were coming in, so they were driving.
But they kind of went by your camp area, it sounds, if you were
Right.
able to hear them or something.
Well, because it's public land, you all stage at a trailhead.
Gotcha.
And you enter in at the same location and then go the various different trails, however you might want to go. But I thought it was kind of neat when you saw these guys going, "We made it!" Now, I have a tip for you that are into ballistic trajectory calculations. This one I'd never thought of. Some of us that are into this, we will go and have it figured out for our caliber. So we understand the range, the drop, the velocity of our bullets. We'll have that taped or laminated on the stock of our rifles.
Oh, just like a little piece of paper is
Yes.
a cheat code is what you're saying?
After you range find it, you
Yep,
range
yep.
it, you look at your stock quick, you got your numbers, you know what the drop's going to be.
Yep.
Well, here one was thrown at you. My nephew Blue, he's only 16 years old, but he came up with this idea. He actually took his trajectory for his 270, that's what he was shooting, and he made that his home screen on his phone.
Oh, he took a screenshot.
He took a screenshot and he made that his screensaver on his phone because we all have our phones with us, right?
Oh, and he could just look at his phone and
yes.
go, I got to go so many clicks this way.
It was smart
okay.
because in some ways, he was able to quickly, boom, he ranged it, looked at his phone, 2 seconds, boom, he knew what he was doing versus sometimes that paper gets rubbed off and over years you can't see or read it anymore. Just an idea, something to try.
But he didn't get the shot.
Well,
Better luck next time, Blue. Better luck next
All right,
time.
with that, we're going to take a short break. You're listening to The Ben Show. We'll be back right after this.